Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the first episode of the Ace Nectar Heroes of the Storm casting podcast for Season 11. Back from a long hiatus, I'm still Ektar, he's still Ace, and Ace, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back. I think we've had... How many casts have we done since Season 10 ended? Because we've done some XGDI.
Like 3. Not too many.
That sounds accurate. That sounds roughly accurate. So it's always good to be back here with another season of NGS. What does that make this? 3 or 4 seasons that we've been casting together now?
At least 4, I feel like.
That's pretty good.
But all of that's in the past, and unfortunately the past doesn't count going forward because we're looking to hit 30 casts as soon as practicable. Because I want that
Practicable?
Yes, that is a word. The Navy loves to use it.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Oh my gosh, it is. Able to be done or put into practice successfully. Amazing. I've learned something today, and I hope you have too. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back in Season 12.
We sure will, but we'll be back in style with NGS casting coffee mugs once we hit that 30 casts.
Fantastic.
So if you like swag that you didn't actually have to pay for, just, cast for NGS 30 different times and you'll be able to get a coffee mug. There's another reward at 15. I frankly don't remember what it is, but it's much less exciting to me.
Alrighty. That is pretty good. I'm going to give him the link to the stream. And hopefully we'll get started here between Zul'jin Distillery and the U.S. Army Esports.
Yeah, so we've got a very long-standing team in Zul'jin Distillery up against the young whippersnappers in U.S. Army Esports. We got confirmation that the majority of the U.S. Army Esports team members are, in fact, active duty military, which is pretty cool. They do have one person on the sidelines who is just a sub-player and not enlisted.
Yeah,
but
all their main roster.
As former military, love to see it.
Yeah.
But we had the coin toss get won by U.S. Army Esports. They opted for map picks, so they banned out Cursed Hollow and Towers of Doom. Zul'jin Distillery banning out Battlefield of Eternity and Volskaya Foundry, and we find ourselves on the other Diablo-themed map in Infernal Shrines, the most standard of game number 1 maps.
I'm actually curious if it's picked more on game 1, 2, or 3. I would imagine 1 because everyone's like, we'll just go to Shrines, but that would be an interesting breakdown, I think. Seems kind of neat.
I would guess that it is picked as the number 2 map a inordinately large number of the time, because it is the standard map, and generally speaking, if you think that you're the better team, you want to play on the most standard map with the most normal conditions. So, assuming you won game number 1, then the other team probably takes hero pick, because it's been the popular all last season. And so left with map pick, you go, oh, we'll just go to the most standard map, Infernal Shrines. I have no idea if any of this is true or not, but that's my train of thought.
Is the Discord overlay intended for the cast?
It's not.
Check with you. Okay.
It's not intended, but we can totally get rid of it because it is a little bit unsightly.
That is all, because it's first one of the season. We got to make sure all the text stuff is still sorted. Diablo and Deckard first bans, kind of straying from the bruisery meta we've seen out of the CCL and the high division bans that we've seen lately.
Mouse capture on. I'll have to get rid of that later, I think. I'm not a huge fan of mouse capture. Anywho, it really has been a bruiser meta ever since the Gazlo and Diva rework. Hogger coming in as the strong third option out of those really good bruiser heroes. And even then, it seems like Bruisers of the Storm has just kind of been the meta recently.
Yeah, I mean, Bruisers have been so strong. You have Imperius being run as a main tank. You've got so many powerful, viable solo laners and bruisers that you're seeing 2, 3 in a comp sometimes. They're pretty good right now. And you know who else is good? Cassia's pretty good.
Yeah, Cassia has fallen off a little bit since the very warranted nerfs that she received a couple of months ago, but she's definitely still a very nice flexible early pick where it doesn't say anything. You definitely don't need to run her with any other blinds for her to be viable. So as a first pick that doesn't give anything away, I like Cassia as a pickup here.
Yep. She's 20th on the win rate charts right now. Two other heroes have been prominent in the meta lately, Tychus and Mei. Mei especially so after her most recent buffs that have once again put her on top of the tank tier list.
And Tychus, in the second part of his talent refreshing, if you will, has definitely been a very popular pickup, especially I favor that level 1, giving him the just extra range at level 1, putting Tychus at a normal auto attack range, but Titan Grenade is definitely still being run a lot on Tychus as well. And on the other side, we have an Uther Sonya pickup. That is a lot of CC and follow-up that they've got going.
Yeah, the Uther, the probably easiest or most powerful CC support in the game, and
for sure.
I don't know when his W changes went through, if that was in Season 10 or not. I think it was because we were playing it. But Uther has been pretty much a standard healer at this point, but obviously has the capability of flexing and being a more bruisery hero. Lots of options when you go with Uther, so really kind of a neat pickup there by Led.
Yeah, Led is their primary healer player, if I'm not mistaken. So you would expect to see Uther being run as a healer and not as a tank, but it's definitely something that they could still flex out of.
Yep, just hit that little swap button at the end and you could pick up a whole bunch of different stuff. So, yeah, nice pickups there.
On the other side, Lucio getting picked up by what I would swear is probably a Weena soundboard clip, Fat and Sassy. And
Amazing.
Unicycle Yay. There's some really interesting names on this US Army Esports, which is kind of what you would expect. And we do have a tank Uther. You'll love to see that debate in the draft.
There's a lot of CC in there. You've got the Uther initiating stun. You've got Sonya, who might actually be the initiator with leap afterwards, after level 10, to give that ranged engage, followed by Uther. Then you've got Lapse, and you can put a Silence Puddle under that. That's a very powerful CC combo that US Army Esports is going to have to deal with.
I want to see Dong and a Valkyrie. That's what I'd like to see here.
That's pretty strong as well.
And you know what? Before recently, Lucio would have been a pretty scary healer into this because he doesn't have a cleanse, but he's got a cleanse now.
He sure does, and it doesn't suck. Like, the key was he had a cleanse before, but it sucked.
Sort of.
Now that it gives him unstoppable, and he's not just like inting every time he presses the R button, and it heals him, it's a pretty good talent. I've enjoyed playing with you on it.
If you haven't seen High Five run before, it actually got a very significant buff and is being just run as a normal talent these days. High Five heals the target for a smallish amount, gives them unstoppable, but it also gives Lucio a heal and unstoppable, which makes it so you can really Reddit Lucio in your opponent's face a lot harder than you ever could before.
And let's be honest, you could Reddit Lucio pretty hard.
Yeah, not against necessarily this comp, because Uther shuts that down pretty hard. Yeah. Oops, we're scrolling.
Yeah.
Alright, but we do have spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks. Zul'jin Distillery with D-Whip playing the Uther. Led has switched over to Stukov. Cowboy Kyle on Sonya. Beefresh is on the Pirate Cassia, and Ankle Shot is playing Kael'thas.
And on the right side of the map, in the red trunks, we do have US Army Esports with Fracture playing Mei, Simeon on Gul'dan, Unicycle Yay on Malthael, Fat and Sassy on Lucio, and Surefire on the Tychus. Speedo Tychus, even.
That is the sexiest of all the Tychai skins. Oh man, my scroll speed is really slow ever since I got this new monitor. I will have to fix that at some point in the future, but enough of my whinging. We have level 1 talents to check out, and unfortunately, and I'm very biased in saying this, we've got a party mix Lucio and not Smooth Moves.
Yep, Smooth Moves is a mandatory talent of the Reddit Lucio, as getting that extra sustain is really important for being able to stay alive and be able to duel some of the backline heroes more effectively.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a wave clear advantage, or at least positional advantage, going over in favor of Zul'jin Distillery. Really, both teams have incredible siege damage with their mage targets, but Zul'jin's still just having a little bit more confidence to step up and do it. D-Whip with the dongs is a huge part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Uther can control space quite well because anything in melee range is subject to being hit quite damaging or quite punishingly with a hammer. So, yeah, just have to be aware of that as both teams go ahead, by the 1 minute mark, go ahead and pick up these camps here almost simultaneously.
Yeah, Cassia did have to rotate into the mid, pardon me, because US Army Esports had actually cleared it out so it wasn't just crashing in the middle, it was crashing into their walls, so she was not able to be there for the camp. But US Army Esports just taking their own camp, not invading, so not going to be anything too interesting. We do have Malthael already rotated down to the mid lane, double soaking. Sonya is still in the top lane. And over time, this could give a pretty significant advantage in favor of US Army Esports if they're able to either get an XP advantage or they would hope to try to get a 5 versus 4 fight, as D-Whip is forced in there by that May Blizzard, but is maybe going to get on out of there, just barely taken out by that Fellfire.
Yep, that is first kill of Season 11, as far as we're concerned, for US Army Esports there. And they will go ahead take possession of that bottom camp. So, yeah, they'll be able to push that in and maybe get a little bit of tower damage done as... and it might translate into maybe a little more powerful objective phase as that's here spawning on the bottom lane in just about 35 seconds.
Yep, the timer coming up for it just now. Bfresh is getting caught way out. Actually gets booped out of the Blizzard, but is still going to get taken down. Not a whole lot D-Whip is going to be able to do about that.
Yep, unfortunate as that pick is going to give about a half-level advantage for US Army Esports and delay Cassia from arriving for just a couple of seconds once this objective spawns. Importantly, though, Sonya up here going to go ahead, grab this Bruiser camp, no counter camp here from US Army Esports, and a kill onto D-Whip here is going to delay Zul'jin Distillery even just a bit more onto this objective.
Yeah, that's 3 kills for nothing going over in favor of US Army Esports, and they're actually just going to rotate Malthael back up to clear that camp and get the soak in the top lane, knowing that they have an advantage in the bottom lane because Sonya is top as well. So, by the time Uther gets here, it's going to be something like 30-35 Shrine Monkeys in favor of US Army Esports. I don't know that they're going to be able to recontest. Although Sonya is here faster, they can maybe try.
They are down level 7, though, so if they go in, they're going to have to be aware of that. Malthael also has a Pale Horse to get in there quickly. Bfresh goes ahead and dives onto Simeon in the back, but does not find a kill and is in a rough spot here as the fight continues. Ankle Shot takes a lot of damage and does not get killed, but is going to be forced out of the way and have to tap as this objective heads over to US Army Esports.
And D-Whip is actually very low, gets saved exclusively by the power of regen globes.
Those globes are some of the best things about playing Heroes of the Storm, though, Akhtar.
It's literally dings and then regen globes in that order.
And any talent that gives you dings on regen globes,
top tier.
It's incredible.
I mean, that's why you see every mage that has one takes down level 1. Ooh, Bfresh gets booped back, taking a lot of damage, but that 30 armor is keeping him relatively healthy, as a lot of damage was sunk into Bfresh and not into that fort. This fort should get saved.
Yep, but with it being at 90-something% health, there is no clear opportunity here for US Army Esports to capitalize and take it down. So they'll go ahead, macro out, start picking up the camps again, and work their way to level 10, where they might find their next advantage.
Indeed. So back on the talents for just a sec, Lucio actually picking up the Good Vibrations on level 7. That is a shield whenever you hit someone with your Q. Hitting any target gives you a shield, hitting heroes gives extra shielding. So it allows them to really be in there, but you lose out on the slowing potential with the reverse amp or the just extra damage output.
Yep.
Although I do see this getting picked up slightly more often. I think it got buffed relatively recently.
Maybe true. I could not confirm that for you. One other build of note, I think, is a Tychus build here. Did not opt for either of the talents we mentioned in the draft, but instead going for the dash level 1, which used to be the standard until he got different ways to increase his range, as well as going with the bigger they are in the combat tactician. So going for that early burst chunk and hoping that the remainder of the team can finish off that last third of the enemy's health.
And Cassia still hasn't chosen a level 7 talent.
That's Interesting. I wonder if they're waiting on a specific heroic. There is Seraph's Hymn picked up with, which I think is a Q-build continuation, but it's pretty rare to see.
And we do have the level 10s coming in now for US Army Esports as they are trying to take this team fight. B-Fresh is in a very bad spot. The Horrify comes out with whiffs entirely. Unstoppable, the cleanse getting popped on a B-Fresh, and they are trying to make a run for it. The level 10 is getting picked up just in time, going to save B-Fresh for just a moment, and then they're going to fall as soon as the D-Shield drops, as well as Uther goes down. So that is 5-0 kills over in favor of US Army Esports.
That D-Shield could not have come out any sooner, as the XP picked up in an off lane was just enough to get the level 10 in time, but the whole D-Shield together was not enough to save the Cassia there, which is unfortunate for XGDI. Fortunate if you're US Army Esports fan, as they're going to go ahead, take this advantage, and knock down most of this bottom fort. Ooh, here comes a leap from Cowboy Kyle. Simeon, the target of the engage. DeWitt going to try and engage, but actually gets cut off by the ice wall. B-Fresh going to bouncy ball, not going to find the kill. Bad RNG for B-Fresh. And that will leave everybody from US Army Esports alive, and we do have Sound Barrier this game, Ektar.
We do, in fact. It's not a surprise. It's definitely still the more popular of the two heroics, but I just wanted to point out the other one and how it could have potentially been viable. There is a bit of a rotation into the top lane, presumably trying to find Malthael is already rotated out, however, and it is relatively even going into this objective phase.
Yep, neither team with talent tier advantage, and neither team down a character. 4 ults available here for US Army, though. Only 2 now for XGD, and they're in a lot of troubles. The Horrify lands well. Ankle shot in a lot of trouble. Does take a Fell Flame and a Last Rites to confirm the kill. Nice leap from Cowboy Kyle. Does hit 4. He's going to get stunned out afterwards due to the Blizzard. Titus in a lot of trouble. D-Shield will let Sonya do whatever she wants, but the retreat from US Army Esports is a good one.
I know you said this in a previous cast, but it really does feel like the fewer heroes are involved in a team fight, the stronger of a hero Sonya is, and Cowboy Kyle is kind of showing that. As soon as the scary damage from Malthael went down, she just kind of walked in there and dealt damage with impunity.
Yeah, that is very, very true, and all of that space created allows Zul'jin Distillery to go ahead, pick up the Punisher, and push down this mid lane, even though they may be down level 13 for a short while.
But picking up this front wall and getting a little bit of extra damage in should do a lot to fix that disparity between the two teams, probably even with the second objective, and with as fast as it's going down, it's definitely not going to be a fort for Zul'jin Distillery, although with Sonya rotating, they may try to make a play here. Leap is off cooldown. There is the John Cena jump, and then a follow-up stun from Cowboy Kyle is putting a lot of damage into Mei, but the Ice Wall is going to keep her alive. B-Fresh is caught behind a wall and is going to get taken out next. Horrify is going to put Sonya into an awful position, and that is 2 kills going over in favor of US Army Esports. They lose their fort for it, and it's hard to say who this favors right now. It could go either way depending on where the next 30 seconds or so go.
Yeah, I don't know. Unicycle Ye is actually going to try and run down Lead. I think that push is actually going to cause Lead to be in a terrible spot, because there's no real fort here to save him as it's so low, and that will be his death as well. And now it's really, does US Army Esports get level 16 before this next objective here? Because that's really the important power spike.
So 30 seconds have passed. I'd say that it favors US Army Esports now pretty strongly.
Would agree with that one. Would agree here, as they get to invade on the bottom, or on their opponent's siege camp, and then they're going to go ahead and pick up the bottom camp, just paint the camps on the map red, and look to take map control and soak up that level 16.
Yeah, they've done all that they could do in the bottom lane for the next pretty long time, so they're just going to be putting pressure in mid and top lane, which is great for them because that's where the next objective is going to be spawning. Already taking that Bruiser camp is Malthael, and the rest of their compatriots taking that siege camp.
Yep, that is the way it is currently. We've got level 16 right here on the horizon for US Army Esports, and the objective hasn't even announced itself yet, although it should be here quite soon, just kind of going by an internal timer. And Yeah, they're gonna see if they can put in a little bit of damage up top lane before this objective starts. Maybe.
And they can see that their opponents have not left mid lane yet, so they are completely safe to just put some damage in. They should be backing out about now as the members of Zul'jin Distillery are showing up. Bit of a stun onto Uncle Ye, or Unicycle Ye. Huge sound barrier is going to save them for the time being, and Sonya is going to be another counter kill. Last Right's finding a third stack, and Dewit getting caught by the actual wall portion of the ice wall is going to go down as well.
Be Fresh is also protected, by the way. Almost death rattles a kill onto Unicycle, but does not find it. That scaling advantage, I'm pretty sure, was everything there, Ektar. I mean, 2 heroes would have died without that 8-something% scaling.
Yeah, across multiple levels. That was at least a kill onto Malthael.
Yes. And, yeah, at one point, Malthael should have died 2 times. So, yeah, definitely a big factor in that fight.
Yeah, knowing that they're up 2 kills, they have Malthael all the way in the bottom lane because he does have that slightly lighter colored than average mount that is going to let him rotate oh so quickly. He's going to pick up that mid lane. Sonya is looking to try and do something onto him, but he's just playing so safe and so far back, really not going to find anything, and yeah. Oh, bit of a catch in rotation is going to find him, but this might give the opportunity for Zul'jin Distillery to try and make a play on top objective.
Yep, they're not level 16 still, although they're quite close if they pick up the XP in top lane. But it is a 5v4, so they've got that working for them. Cowboy Kyle looking and lining up an attack on Simeon and does land it, but the Ice Wall sections off all of the follow-up damage and support, so that leaves Zul'jin Distillery without a kill. 5-man Horrify here forces Cowboy Kyle to be de-shielded by Dewit to keep them alive.
And it looks like it is just going to be an even disengage reset to neutral, but that has to favor Zul'jin Distillery as they just have more heroes alive and they're getting closer and closer to that level 16 mark, where this becomes a much more even fight.
Yeah, that is true. Draken Laser Drill gets dropped down, but is going to be taken out relatively quickly, and that'll prevent any more vision from easily being picked up by U.S. Army Esports. But Malthael is rejoining the fight shortly, so it is going to be even numbers on an even talent tier.
And a big stun coming out with that May Blizzard going into the Ice Walk to keep themselves alive. A lot of damage going into D-Hit, and Cowboy Kyle Ankle Shot is going to get hit with that stasis. Cowboy Kyle is going to be the first to fall, followed very quickly by D-Hit. Led and B-Fresh are both getting chunked out as well. Led is going to be the next to fall. B-Fresh doing a lot of damage with that protected, by the way, but just not quite able to find a kill there, and May is going to survive. Only Ankle Shot left as the sole member for Zul'jin Distillery, and is going to have to give up this fort.
It was very close, but the recent buffs to May's Ice Wall really kind of the game changer in that fight, with her cooldown being a meager 50 seconds. She was able to cast a second Ice Wall on that backside of the fight and really made a difference into just preventing the members of Zul'jin Distillery from kiting back and disengaging that fight. So really powerful change there.
Yeah. Almost everyone at this point is up for the members of Zul'jin Distillery. Only Cassia is still down. U.S. Army Esports is not pushing their advantage. They're up 3 levels of scaling, but they don't have that level 20 yet, so they are just going to back out. They're not even going to try and force this keep down, and it will survive. They are going to steal their opponent's camps, however, both of them, but really just trying to hold out for that level 20.
Yep, that is where they're headed pretty imminently here with that level 20 power spike. Gul'dan almost done with the Echoed Corruption. Full E-build here with the Fell Armor and the Bound by Shadow for the cooldown reduction. And probably going to finish off with a Han on level 20. And we've got the...
They have been... Yeah, they've been getting some really gigantic Horrifies all game, and now that they've hit that level 20, they are just sharking looking to find anybody out of position. They find Ankle Shot not quite out enough for them to engage upon, but they are just going to try and push something down. I can feel it.
Yep. They do also have full Tychus Q build after level 10 here, which is a neat little pickup there.
There goes that Echoed Corruption getting picked up as well.
Yep, very important pickup there. So all the level 1s that aren't infinite scaling are done now.
Yeah. I would expect to see a little bit more pressure coming out from US Army Esports. They are up 3 levels with level 20. Nice little virulent reaction coming up, putting some damage into Fracture, but nothing too consequential as that Echoed Corruption is putting tons of damage into D-Wit.
Yep, maybe not expecting the Echoed Corruption. B-Fresh is getting engaged upon as rest of the team rotated down to the bottom. Again, one of the healers split off here using the Ice Wall. That has been a fairly consistent theme throughout this entire game, and has resulted in multiple kills and viable disengages here for U.S. Army. So they've done a good job with that. So props on Fracture for that.
Yeah, we have U.S. Army Esports now taking the top camp. Just doing it because it's safe and they can. They just kind of backed away off that previous objective when they took some damage, and they still have a full level and change before their opponents are going to have their own level 20s. Hiding in this top bush, hoping their opponents are going to extend out a little bit, and now trying to find anything with, probably with an ice wall as an engagement.
Yep, I mean, it has the capability of being as strong as a Void Prison, just a little bit weirder to hit and with a little bit more of a delay. But seeing Zul'jin Distillery in the bottom lane, this is free top keep here. Gul'dan's going to do an absolute truck ton of siege damage to that building, and that's the first keep picked up here for U.S. Army Esports in the top lane.
Yeah, and Zul'jin still they knew that they had already lost that keep, but they still have to respond in case their opponents don't immediately back away. So that was really well done by them to start heading in that direction, even though it was going to be ultimately fruitless. U.S. Army Esports is going to rip down mid fort as well as is going to give them catapult parity in that mid lane as the objective is spawning in that mid lane.
Yeah, and Zul'jin Distillery still a half level off the very critical level 20s. I mean, we're looking at Flamethrower, we're looking at Ignore Pain, 50 armor on any Uther ability, or Sanctification worth of a D shield. A very important talent upgrade that they've got to pick up, but I don't know if they're going to be able to pick it up in time to contest this objective, because Gul'dan has fantastic Shrine Clear.
Gul'dan has fantastic wave clear, so does Malthael. They have gotten as close as they think as they can to level 20. They're positioned like they want to fight over this objective. With or without 20, they do pick up the 20s. Go ahead and look at him. It is 50 armor. Very nice. But Ankle Shot is in a rough spot getting engaged upon in the backline, but a huge amount of damage going into Malthael. Gets saved by the beat drop and the stasis coming up from the Mei. 34 Shrine Minions over in favor of U.S. Army Esports. Bufresh is very low, but is going to get de-shielded. This team fight is messy, but Tychus is the first to fall. I keep calling him Uncle. Unicycle Ye is the next to fall. They are able to come back, but are opting not to at this point, as that is going to be 3 kills in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, but the objective going over in favor of U.S. Army Esports.
Yeah, but that's a game-saving, pickup there, or team fight win here from Zul'jin Distillery. That doubles their kill count for this game, and that was a really, really good, they won the fight despite, I think, having to rush it and being put into a really bad spot early there. So really well done by Zul'jin Distillery, and they're going to be able to clean up all of this pressure. They're not going to get a lot done around the map, but, they can take a breath, know that they can win these late-game team fights, and work on the next one.
Yeah, and it, like you're saying, it just buys them a lot of time. It lets them push out top lane. It lets them push out bottom lane. It lets them maybe take a camp for the first time in quite a while. At least not a camp that should always be theirs anyway. I think this is their first mid camp all game.
Yeah, I think so. You might be entirely correct here. So yeah, even levels. I mean, there's no longer a 12% scaling difference between the teams.
Kyle.
Does have the leap to escape.
Does have the leap to escape if it comes out.
If engaged upon, scream and fly away. That's how this works. Ooh, DeWitt, are you going to be invited to the party? Oh, Led actually does the check with the Pustule, but DeWitt, in a whole bunch of trouble, is going to get deleted immediately, but everybody on top of that single point becomes a very big elite point as Sonya goes in and gets a counter kill onto Malthael. The Infinite Ball Lightning dealing a ton of damage to Malthael and Tychus as well. Simeon probably not going to escape here as well. Suck, but does not get enough. But boy, that Echoed Corruption did a lot of damage there.
It did. Malthael return means that this is now an advantageous fight for U.S. Army Esports, and they're able to clean up. And I think if they really try, they might be able to end in top lane, but they don't seem quite so convinced, and are going to put pressure into mid lane and probably clear up the pressure in bottom lane. They're maybe going now. It's a little bit late. They may be just taking this Bruiser camp. No, they look like they want to try and end it, and I do think that they can do it, though. They want to get
Yeah.
these minions in here because those catapults are a lot of extra siege damage.
Yeah, Malthael is practically no siege damage for all intents and purposes and should be focused on the minions. Tychus does good auto attack damage, but it's the catapults and minions that are going to be doing the most damage. Uther now resurrecting, so has a chance to make some kind of like stalling defense out of this
No
with that
benediction.
50 armor. That is true, would have triggered in the last fight. He is going to de-shield himself and then try and work down these catapults. Stunning them will change their target focus and could be an important part of this.
That is going to be a stack going over to Unicycle Ye, but he has bought time for Cowboy Kyle to get up, and he is much scarier than Uther, especially given that 50 armor from the dead Uther, because that trait still gives him there, popping the Ignore Pain. That is going to be a successful core defense, but it is going to be a very rough objective phase for Zul'jin Distillery.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to take this down 4v5. They are not even going to get bottom 4. I saw the camp there and thought, but... Yeah, this is going to be very, very tough. They've got to play this very cleanly, find somebody, and just get rid of them as fast as possible. It might be on lead for Virulent Reaction because Leap is down. Beat Drop is up for US Army Esports, so that has been a very important tool on denying the Leap Engage, as long as Lucy hasn't been caught.
And Horrify as well is a fantastic just get off of my... Get down, Mr. President tool for U.S. Army Esports, and they've gotten a lot of usage out of it. And
Like the
Zul'jin
giggler.
Distillery, they know that they can't engage without Uther, but they want to be positioned in case they find something. But I don't think they have time. I think they have to try and absorb this objective, as bad as that sounds.
I mean, they engaged last time similar to this. It is 36 already. There's the leap from Sonya. Did catch Fat and Sassy. Be Fresh gets caught out in the top, though. Last Rites goes through, and it seems to be the house falling down here at the end for Zul'jin Distillery. Fat and Sassy does almost go down. Cowboy Kyle doing a lot of damage, but the two-man Horrify was absolutely destructive. Simeon doing a ton of damage. Tychus gets traded out, but this Punisher is pushing alone here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and Cowboy Kyle stalling for an incredible amount of time, but is still going to get taken out. Led is the only one left alive for Zul'jin Distillery. There is a keep here to absorb some of that damage, but at 30 seconds until the first hero comes back, there just should not be any way.
I can't imagine. Anyway, I can imagine, but it involves severely misplaying to a degree that we'd investigate.
Led is going to get a nice Punisher jump over to mid-keep, but it is too little too late, and that is going to be game number 1 going over in favor of U.S. Army Esports.
Gee. All right, that was a high kill game there, 26-10 at the end. As they had to take down, I mean, Zul'jin Distillery, props to them for sticking it through. I mean, they were down a lot. It was 3-16 in kills at some point in there. Fought back a 3-level deficit, but ultimately it was triumphed by the, I think, really solid beat drops from Fat and Sassy overall, and the Horrify at the very end from Simeon.
Yeah, Fat and Sassy putting out almost 3 times the healing number that Led was. Is actually 3 times if you take into account the self-healing and self-shielding from Good Vibrations.
Yeah, that is very true. Passes at almost 190,000 healing mark, so really a lot of strong play coming in there. That is a very substantial amount of healing from Lucio.
Yeah, it is.
Who didn't go house party, by the way. That was Bossa Nova.
Yeah, so more often, but slightly worse, but more frequent beat drops, as opposed to just literal extra % healing on the potential house party pickup. Summer Anthem did get a buff as well, but I still don't see it picked often.
Yep. That is kind of my analysis of that as well. Gonna get you into this lobby here. I assume, judging by the way DeWitt set up the lobby, that Zul'jin Distillery has opted for map pick, and they have gone to Tomb of the Spider Queen, the second most popular map in NGS, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, out of curiosity, what do you have your drag scroll speed set to?
Options. Mouse 20%.
Really? So do I, and it felt so little, so we're going to bump that up for game number 2.
Sounds good. It's whatever's comfortable. I keep mine low for the dragging. Thank you, Moist Weenus. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, we are just getting into game number 2. You can't see it yet, but we have our map chosen. It is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen as chosen by Zul'jin Distillery, the losers of game number 1.
Yeah, so opting for the map pick over the first pick, I think is a rarer pickup, I will say.
Yeah, it's how the series started, but thank you, Moist Weenus, for the 69 bits. I need to get my Streamlabs back in setup since I got the new updated fancy schmancy season 11 casting tool. I have not imported Streamlabs over, so I'll have to do that. Otherwise, you'd get a little nice for that bit donation, which we always appreciate here.
We do indeed got to keep the caster support going. 2 quarters, a dime, a nickel, and 4 pennies at a time.
Optimal.
That is.
Did the sound die? I sure hope not.
I'm hearing things.
Do you have the stream open and stuff, Ace?
I do.
I appreciate that.
I always have your stream open. For one, to be able to check tech things, and 2, so I can reference the team names in case I ever go for Zul'jin Distillery. Fantastic. That is exactly what I'm doing. Is looking over at the other monitor and checking what team it is.
All right. Not sure how I'm liking having just the chat popped out, because now I can't see quite as many things to make sure that it's going well, and I don't actually have the stream open. I just have the OBS preview, which isn't necessarily the greatest because I can't see things like frame drops, but I'm not actually good at streaming, so I don't know what I could even do about frame drops if I had them.
Gotcha. Let me get with you after this stream, Ektar. I've got some info for you.
You know, I've got some info for you, and that's what we are starting the draft for game number 2 with DeWitt and the boys hoping to get that game number 3 after this one.
Yep, always big fan of game 3s here at the Ace and Ektar. Here's the Stormcasting Podcast.
Thank you, Weenus, for another 69 bits. Gotta go drop the puppers off at the parents. That sounds like an innuendo that I do not want you to explain.
God, no, Ektar, why? Everything is when Weenus says it, to be fair, but...
It's true. Weenus,
why?
Before you leave, have you seen their Lucio player, Fat and Sassy? Come on, tell me that's not amazing.
As introduced was somebody who could be a clip on Weenus's soundboard.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I wouldn't doubt it. And you can almost hear Slexia saying it.
You know, I'm gonna... You do the regular casting things. I'm gonna go to YouTube and just type Fat and Sassy and see what comes up.
Sounds wonderful. Diablo.
It auto-corrects when you type fat and, so it's gotta be a thing.
Okay.
Oh.
We've got Diablo and Stuka banned out for U.S. Army Esports, Johanna, and...
Oh yeah, that's definitely a Weenus sound clip. I have heard that before, now that I've heard it on the YouTube video, and in 40-some seconds, you're going to hear a bunch of gibberish followed by and get fat and sassy. Anywho, we have a game to talk about, and I haven't done it at all since we introduced the map. We've got a couple of bans. I love to see a Diablo ban on this map because Lucio is so good on it.
Yeah. Simeon going ahead and sticking with the Gul'dan this game. Did really a very strong job on the Horrifies last game, not getting caught by the leap, and then horrifying all of the follow-up damage away, because when you've got Cassia trying to fend for damage, she can get hit by Horrify. Sonya's trying to smash with the Wrath. Slam is the ability, Seismic Slam. She's in melee range, so the Horrify got huge value last game. And we've got the Varian picked up by DeWitt, and this is more of a Signature XGD pickup in that Varian.
Variant, and even the Chromie as well. Definitely very comfortable heroes getting picked up by the members of Zul'jin Distillery. On the other side, Fat and Sassy picking up that Lucio for game number 2. You'll love to see it. Played well in game 1, and I think this is an even better map for him.
Yeah. Will we see the high five though? I mean, could cleanse a taunt engage and
Could
runs on a similar cooldown.
could cleanse a time loop as well, or even just slowing sands. Slowing sands is nasty as shit.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and you don't have to commit a sound barrier to all of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, sound barrier is still kind of amazing for dealing with it, but it also runs on an 80-second cooldown, if I remember correctly. Sounds about right.
I think that's a bit high. I would guess 70. I play this hero often enough that I should know, but I definitely do not.
Yeah, but what is it? High fives cooldown is what? 15 seconds per hero or 20 seconds per hero?
Sounds
I think
right.
it's cut to 10 on level 20.
It gets cut in half on 20.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's 20 to 10, but I'm going to go to the Lucio talent calculator because I like knowing things.
I also like knowing things. Oh, you know what? Maybe Weenus earlier when you stopped hearing things was because I tabbed out.
That's very possible. High fives on a 20, barriers on an 80. Got him.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Easy peasy.
I wonder if barrier got nerfed to 80 relatively recently, and by relatively I mean within the last like year and a half, because that's the kind of cycles we're running on in this game.
Oof. You know. Alright, draft May was banned out by XGD. I think that's the most significant one there. Malfurion and Tychus going to be the follow-up damage for Zul'jin Distillery.
I love Malfurion as a follow-up to Variant.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. Roots are very powerful CC, but they're very hard to hit outside of the exact center of it. So
yeah. Even then, it's got a delay on it.
Root. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can put it under someone or even just very slightly in front of them, but if you're still in that initial delay period, they can just walk right over it.
Ektar, I've got bad news for you.
What is the news?
Sound barrier cooldown increased from 70 to 80 seconds. Patch notes, February 14th, 2017.
Slightly outside of that range that I was looking at.
4 years ago and a day, but you know what?
Yeah. Happy belated Valentine's Day to all you lovers out there.
Rexar is the offlaner here. Speaking of a bond between owner and pet, you got a Rexar in this game.
We sure do. You don't tend to see him on this map in particular, but you know, he's just kind of decent. I don't know how well he does against Malthael specifically.
Yeah, that is very true. I think, I mean, Rexar should be able to stay at a decent range, other than when throwing birds. So, I think that's very capable for Rexar to have at least a pretty good matchup, a better one than Sonya's, in my opinion.
That's probably true, but Unicycle, yay, that is so difficult to say repeatedly. Showed that they're very comfortable on that Malthael, just kind of going in and dealing that damage, so I would not be surprised if you did something similar to our poor Misha Bear. Alrighty, but we have spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks, Zul'jin Distillery. They have their own invitational series. With Dewhit, the captain, playing the Varian, Ankle Shot playing Chromie, Cowboy Kyle on Rexar, Led is playing Malfurion, and Bfresh is on Tychus, specifically Swim Trunks Tychus.
Oh, another one. All right, and on the right side of the map, in the red trunks, we've got U.S. Army Esports with Simeon reprising the role on Gul'dan, Unicycle Yay reprising the role on Malthael, Fat and Sassy reprising the role on Lucio, Fracture on the Blaze, and Surefire on the Jimbo.
Yeah, the only one that changed of their own volition was that Jim Raynor.
Yeah, because May was banned out before Fracture went ahead and picked that up, so... Yeah. Never knew if it was a possible... It was probably... Like, if it was allowed, sure, they'd probably take it, but...
Yeah.
Had to move.
Blaze is going to go ahead and start on that new habits at level 1. Picking up those globes. We already have a kill on Amisha, so 1/4 of a kill going over in favor of U.S. Army Esports. Not enough to claim first blood, I would say. But
yeah.
Getting decent damage into Cowboy Kyle as well.
Yeah, you saw the Malthael break out to the top lane to start, which very much indicates that this is going to be a double soak Malthael and a 4-push bottom lane kind of composition here. So we're going to have to see how Zul'jin Distillery adapts to that, whether they decide to push hard into the top lane as U.S. Army Esports pushes hard into the bottom lane, or how they opt to go about this.
That seems to be their plan. They want to soak mid-top and put pressure into top wall with their 4-man, while the opposing 4-man is just putting damage into bottom wall and allowing Malthael to try and double soak. But Zul'jin Distillery are playing very far forward. Malthael has not been able to actually step up and get that XP quite yet.
Yeah, I think I like that line of play to push Malthael off XP, and you see Fracture having to rotate up into the middle lane, change up this rotation pattern, and pick up some of this extra soak here. So, you know, maybe the plan was to only get a wall down bottom, and give the soul laner a little bit more of an advantage, but, you know, past that, I think Zul'jin Distillery doing a good job, except for DeWitt here, who's going to get caught out a little bit and does not have a way to mitigate damage yet, and does get picked off here for the real first blood of this game.
I don't like to call out players on their questionable decisions, but Varian charging at the back line before level 4 was a pretty questionable decision. Bfresh is just straight getting caught out and is going to be the second kill, going over in favor of US Army Esports, and a couple of gems falling there as well.
Yeah, those 11 gems are actually the bigger part of this kill here, as now there's about a 12 gem advantage here for US Army Esports to just go ahead and be able to get that first turn in a little bit sooner. So that is kind of the advantage that these kills have generated so far.
US Army Esports has been playing so far a very clean game. One critique, it's 2 minutes and 50 seconds and there's not a camp taken yet, although that is going to be rectified shortly.
Yeah, the Berserk camp on this map gives you important control over the mid lane rotations here. And while they were pushing into the bottom lane, I think rotating up right after, okay, Blaze got taken out somewhere on this map. Must have been in the mid lane there as Taunt is now
dead body.
Yeah, found the taunt cooldown used.
Yeah, taunt, and you know, there's also one stack of Treant, now a second one going into Fat and Sassy, but oh, got a bit of a pause coming out from Fracture. I wonder if a little bit of lag came into play during that last kill.
Always possible. We are okay. Unicycle bad lag. Running on one wheel, and
Is
you know,
currently
Ektar,
taunted.
yeah, is currently not in a good spot, I would say.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put us onto that between game screen just so you can't get too much information, but I mean, they could just go back in the VOD if they really wanted to try and game it out like that, but we don't want to make it easy for them.
Yeah, nor would that be very good for, not a good look for US Army Esports or Zul'jin Distillery.
Yeah, agreed. So checking out the status of things, currently just under 400 stacks of that party mix getting picked up again. We got a camp in the bottom lane and a bit of an engagement coming out into that Malthael with the lag issues, but there's not a lot of follow-up. Lead won't be there in time before taunt runs out, and Bfresh really won't either. And as far as gems go, we've got 20 in the bank and 20 more on standby for US Army Esports and 33 for the side of Zul'jin Distillery.
Yep, they've closed the gap a little bit with that kill onto Blaze, but Blaze did turn in gems shortly after their kills when they rotate down in the bottom lane. So not too much of a loss there.
I guess I would
set them up to get a turn in relatively soon.
guess it's a little bit weird that I'm talking about like talents and gems and stuff when I have us on the between games best of 3 screen. So
yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. That's okay. It's a radio podcast kind of moment right there.
Yeah, it happens.
So, Chromie going into the Time Walker's Pursuit and the A Proper Greeting. So, almost certainly going into Slowing Sands on level 8.
Which is fantastic follow-up CC for a taunt.
God, it's incredible follow-up CC because you get that just... Oh my god, does so much extra damage. I think the math... It applies multiplicatively, the A Proper Greeting damage, along with the 15% spell power from Time Walker's Pursuit. So it actually gives, what is that, 40 plus another 25% of 15, so 3.75. So 43.75% more damage on top of her already kind of ridiculous base damage value. So really, really a lot of damage that can be put out by her own volition at level 8.
I know there were observers and that they can't see that, but that's okay.
Fantastic.
Alright, we've got the countdown, and we're going to be getting back into this game. Probably this taunt onto Unicycle is the most interesting thing that's happened as I just smacked the mic on accident. but is going to tap up and be just fine.
Yep, will cost them the tap, though, and that may become relevant as teams start jockeying for position, as 50 gems are getting near for both teams here.
Yeah, another rotation coming in. Cowboy Kyle stepping too far forward, and I think Nisha extending the stun into them is going to find third blood for the side of them. D-Quick coming in is going to put a nice taunt onto Simeon, and that'll be a follow-up kill.
Wow.
As long as a kill into Fat and Sassy. So much chromie damage coming out just there. And that is going to be the first real advantage of the game in favor of Zul'jin Distillery.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big loss for them, though. They lost 11 gems, so they no longer have a turn-in to follow up those kills with. But they are ahead by about half a level in XP, so showing a lot more comfort here with this Varian blow-up comp that we've kind of come to know XGD of playing, as we've seen several times. There's taunt, root follow-up, jet propulsion was burned, and that is another kill going over for XGD. So it's not Mei where you can just ice block your way and then skating out. Blaze is being punished heavily for any kind of positioning errors.
You know, until level 10 when he picks up Terran Ice Block.
Yeah.
I will say, the one thing that I can say in favor of US Army Esports, other than the 3 early kills that they got and the fact that they came up a Bruiser Cap, is that they've kept their gems. They've given over the last 3 kills in a row, but they have not dropped many, if any, gems because of it.
Yeah, that is very, very true here, but we'll have to see if that remains that way. After this objective phase, Chromie has her ultimate, and it becomes very, very scary for US Army Esports here. Zul'jin Distillery, with 1/5 of a team ult, is looking to make an aggression here in the top lane.
And they've also got taunt. That's like
yeah,
a fair amount of heroics. There's a lot of CCs coming out. Simeon is going to have to back out of that slowing sands, as it looks like top might fall. They're putting a lot of pressure into it, and Rexar's putting good pressure in the bottom lane as well. And with Malthael rotating out, I think this is going to be first word of the game going over in favor of Zul'jin Distillery.
Yeah, it sure appears that way. There's a taunt onto Fracture, roots to follow up. Even the 40 armor from Pyromania, not enough to keep them alive. Fat and Sassy does push off an amp speed to run away. In the bottom lane, though, Cowboy Kyle gets picked off by the rotation from Surefire. And that's an interesting one, but it does work in their favor for US Army Esports. But Gul'dan goes down in the top lane. This Varian Chromie combo is wreaking havoc up here.
Yeah, Gul'dan was given a proper greeting, and
It's
kind of like Aloha, where Chromie says hello and Gul'dan says goodbye with the same words.
Yeah, that sounds about accurate here. Led been on point with the root follow-ups, and Bfresh dashing into position to apply the majority of the damage here. That starts nice slowing sands into the roots. Sound Bearer going to be not enough here. Tychus Drill committed to the fight as well, and while all of that was occurring, I think Jim Raynor got some gems in the bottom and gets the objective called down for US Army Esports, but they're down a player for this.
You know, a beat drop wasn't enough to get him out of there, but a cleanse might have been. Just saying. It's a good heroic.
Yeah. It's got a 4% higher win rate globally right now.
Low popularity. Bit of damage going into Jim Raynor in the bottom lane as Cowboy Kyle has stepped pretty far forward in clearing this, but with that kill that they got early, Zul'jin Distillery are having a pretty nice time clearing up this objective from their opponents. Not quite just a waste of 50 gems, but certainly not the damage that they wanted to get.
Yeah, it does seem to agree with that. Cowboy Kyle, do not step up and get picked off. You need to be careful. Yeah, he goes ahead and retreats out of there. When teams are down players, I often like to make plays into the off lane. So if you're that off laner player, make sure if your team gets kills to actually play more safely for a short while until you can identify the map.
Yeah.
I think that's something I see a lot.
So we have Zul'jin Distillery taking this camp in the bottom lane. Both teams about equidistant away from the next objective, slightly in favor of US Army Esports. They also have the position for it, but really what this is allowing them to do is just get their turn-ins early on the heroes that are left safe to do it on, like your Lucio. It would actually have been great if Fracture could have got his in, because normally you want your tank zoning, trying to keep position on these objectives, but is still hanging on to those 11.
Yeah, and he's been the focus fire position most of this game here, so getting those in incrementally might be a big safety net here for US Army Esports. He's done well so far, and he might look for a turn in here, as Zul'jin Distillery actually just walks up and starts doing boss right now, and there is no indication that US Army Esports is responding to this.
No, they're just taking mid lane. They're heading up there now. Fracture may have sniffed this out just a little bit, but it's kind of late. There's a time trap, so even if they got here, they're not going to be able to get in and do it. Time trap wasn't used, but now that we have a fight under boss, and Fracture is going to die very certainly. Unicycle game might be the next to fall. Big beat drop. Led gets interrupted from his Twilight Dream.
Yeah.
Lucio definitely saving a couple of heroes there with that beat drop and that speed boost to get him out of there. Not quite going to be able to find the root. But yeah, definitely an overextension coming out there from Blaze.
Yeah, the jet propulsion was way over optimistic, but you know what? That gives Zul'jin Distiller the capability of pushing down this boss. There is Exterminator here for Gem Rainer, so that boss is getting chunked relatively quickly. It's only going to get the remainder of the front wall, and not even the well here, as it lives with 80 hit points.
No, but it should give them basically free turn-in time to clear up and push a lot of pressure into bottom lane, clear up mid as well, and top is pushed all the way in as well. We're even going to have Rexar. Looks like they're going to go and start this camp over here. Wow, oh my god, he just missed the timing on it.
Oh, I hate to see it.
You really do. But it's still a fantastic position for Zul'jin Distillery. Two lanes pushed out very far forward, and mid lane, I mean, it's mid lane.
Yeah, that is true. One thing I've noticed, the Horrifies really haven't been capable of knocking out this follow-up. We mentioned that there are a lot of melee follow-up the previous game, but with Chromie and Tychus being the primary follow-up to these taunts, there's not a lot they can do. Surefire. Oh. Anybody gonna Misha check that bush? I'm
Banshee. Banshee checked it. I'm pretty sure I saw.
Yeah, Air Misha, or as I may say, Air Misha, but the Banshee doesn't get a whole lot of vision. She doesn't have, like, flying. You do have just the vision.
Really?
Until you walk into a bush, yes.
Huh. I definitely thought that it did, because I've seen the Mutalisk do things that appear like they're a true flying unit.
Yeah, I don't believe the Banshee is. I was watching the vision and I never saw him, so unclear. But the push is commencing in the bottom lane. That was a lot of Chromie damage put out early here.
Yeah, definitely greeting the opposing team. Just a last-second extra treant proc onto Surefire there. There is Melthael in the top lane, who looks like they will be able to clear this out before the keep goes down, but this means it's a 5 versus 4 in the bottom lane, so it's still very possible that this keep falls here, as the 16s are getting picked up in favor for Zul'jin Distillery. Dequid is positioned pretty far forward, but US Army Esports are positioned pretty far back, so they haven't been able to find anything too significant yet. To my side getting popped as a disengage. Dequid is going to get hit with the Horrify as well as the Melthael ult, but is not going to get the kill, and there is the keep going down.
Yep, that is the keep going down here. Surefire, was charged, is going to get, hit with a Roots from Lead. That was a really nice root from Lead, but Zul'jin Distillery, the Gul'dan corruption damage is going to be enough to kill off Tychus, and I think that will end this push here.
Yeah, finishing out the Echoed Corruption way earlier than in the previous game as well, so being able to pull out that extra damage just even earlier in the game.
Yep, it is going to be critical. We saw Fracture actually pop the Unstoppable from New Haddons as Varian charged, which basically absorbed the taunt. I don't know if it forces, like, the taunt is allowed to go off and it burns the cooldown or not, but regardless,
he definitely charged in for the attempt, though. And
right.
Without charge, it's hard to just land a naked taunt.
Right, that is true, and we don't have the is that Warbringer on 10 still for Varian that allows him to charge?
I think so.
Every 4 seconds.
Yeah, and to allied targets.
Yeah, so it can get in and out, but instead opting for the shield wall. So yeah, there's that charge cooldown is very expensive and very important for Zul'jin Distillery, and being able to negate that is going to be critical in US Army Esports' survival of these combos.
I'm trying to follow this Banshee now to watch what it can see, and it is so difficult to remember that.
That does have air vision.
It definitely. It's a short vision radius, but it definitely has air vision.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But you also have to keep in mind that it's hitbox is where it actually is and not a 3D extrapolation of it like it would be in StarCraft. Big disengage coming out from both all the members of Zildjian Distillery, but the huge Twilight Dream is going to make this a very difficult proposition for the members of U.S. Army Esports, as Surefire is the only one to survive. That should definitely be game. They are running through bottom lane, and that is going to find us into a game number 3 unless a miracle is able to happen here, and I don't think that Jim Laner is the type of hero to provide such a miracle.
No, maybe a Li Ming or something like that, but Jim Laner not going to be the hero that need in these scenarios. Consistent damage is very good, but not for defending against this. With 2 catapults, 2 siege giants, Tychus and a Chromie, and everybody else alive, core goes down very quickly, and game number 2 is taken by Zildjian Distillery.
Yeah, that was a very decisive end in favor of Zildjian Distillery. And it looked so bad for them because Varian was the one who got caught out kind of alone, but protected, by the way. Means that he survived that entire engage. Chromie put down the slowing sands as well as the boars getting dropped there, so the members of U.S. Army Esports couldn't easily disengage, and then Twilight Dream meant they couldn't do anything either. It was just worked out very well in favor of them.
I think the biggest play was actually Cowboy Kyle's Misha charging through and getting 2 or 3 stuns. I think that's the only stun on their team. So, I mean, I saw multiple players stunned that allowed everything to land. It allowed the slowing sands to tick up to 70%. It allowed lead to hit the Twilight Dream. So I think that was the big play that made it all happen. And very similar to how U.S. Army Esports won Game 1, the counter-engage from Zildjian Distillery was just too strong once everybody tried to collapse onto the Varian. So really nice job there from Zildjian Distillery too. Probably more one-sided wins, but for each side, which means we might have a really interesting game number 3 here.
I would love to see a nice back-and-forth game. That game was in the beginning, but
3-3 in kills, and then it soon as it came up.
Yeah, just about when Heroics came online, it seemed like it was all slightly in favor of Zildjian Distillery until it was very in favor of Zildjian Distillery.
Yeah.
All right, and we have confirmation that U.S. Army Esports are opting for map pick, and I'm going to give it to you to try and guess what it is.
That's a really tough one. Usually I have data to go off of, and
you have 2 games worth of data and preferences.
Volsk.
Is banned.
Okay, I have to go check the bans real quick then.
Alrighty.
Volsk, BOE, Curse, please just let it be Garden of Terror. I think it's D-Shire, but I want it to be Garden of Terror.
Well, you neither get your head or your heart pick. It is Braxis Holdout.
I had 4 options, and I picked it on the 4th.
Yeah.
They go to Braxis after seeing a Rexar player? Really?
Oh, I got a DM from Ace.
Yeah, I got a DM sending you my OBS setup. That is all embedded in OBS, and it's sweet.
Do you have to get Streamlabs OBS for that, or is that just regular OBS?
It's OBS.
Very nice. I will do that.
I'll show you.
You're so much better at this than me. Why do you not do this?
I do because my power could die at any random moment.
That's fair. Ace is in fact in Oklahoma, which is part of the greater Texas and just Midwest region that's currently the opposite of on fire.
It's cold, and they said our power company said they might do rolling cutouts of power because people are using so much power to heat their homes and run things that we're actually running out of electricity.
That's a feels bad right there.
That is, yeah. I'm more worried about the natural gas. I can live without electricity, but if we run out of natural gas, which is also a threat, albeit less of one, we don't have heating or a stove or anything, and then we're really sad.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad time.
It does. We're gonna have to swap the sides on the teams here.
We sure will. Thankfully, whoever made this casting tool programmed a button for that. But it means I'm gonna have to reprogram my brain, and that's way harder.
That is very true.
Luckily, I have one team that I remember names on and one team that I don't, so hopefully we can get through it just fine.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. That was the original purpose of the tool, to make team names and then swap them when the teams trolled them. Mm-hmm. That was it. And it's grown into something a little bit bigger over 3 years. But yeah, so game 3, I have to expect the Varian ban from US Army Esports, but
it was critical to the game 2 victory. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that changed the entire tempo of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3-3 kills before Varian got taunt, and what was that final number? 14-7 or 14-5 in the end. So what is that? 11-2 in kills after taunt came up. So seems pretty easy to me.
Yeah, and Varian is the critical part of that. Like, you can replace the Malthael follow-up, you can replace the Chromie damage and the Tychus damage follow-up. Really, the Varian is the linchpin of that combination.
Of the engages. Yep. I mean, we lost to it next GDI. They play it at a significantly higher level than a lot of their other compositions. So, yeah, I think that's how the ban strategy will roll out here. But we'll have to see what the teams opt to do.
And I know I'm incredibly biased, but I do think that should have been a high 5 game. It would have made those combos a lot weaker.
Yes, I tend to agree, but if you haven't practiced it,
that's fair.
It do be like that.
Brax's best map, I can't agree with that. I'm sorry. It's a fine map, but best map? No.
Yeah, I think it's like average map. Maybe slightly below average, because I actually like the top 3-4 maps a good bit.
I like the Lucio ban. We haven't seen Fat and Sassy play anything else yet, and he's been very proficient at that hero.
Yep. Ooh, Tychus banned out. That is not a Varian.
It will be. It will be. Or it'll be a Chromie ban. I could see that too. She's also fantastic on this map.
She draws a lot of bans too, just by being Chromie.
Yeah, well, she's
so good.
Chromie in the current meta is like Beta Sergeant Hammer. Where if your team doesn't know how to deal with it or can't coordinate to deal with it, it just makes the game feel impossible.
Yeah. That is very, very true. The May ban. So these bans starting to shade directly towards target bans now, as opposed to meta bans, as the teams kind of figure out what do we not want to play against. This is the ban that's very important, and it's not a Varian. DeWitt will take first pick Varian with no questions asked. That's a question that's fine. They'll take first pick Chromie because that's a better pick. Chromie's kind of insane on this map, as mentioned. I think it's her best map.
Chromie's got so many good maps.
We can do predictions, Akhtar. I like that.
We can, and you're a mod, so you can actually remind me, or even just I
do these the end all of the time.
So do I, but never in my own stream.
Yeah, people love gambling their channel points.
Ah, man.
Remember, channel points are very good for redeeming your absolutely nothings.
Oh, yeah.
And everything else, so make sure to predict below and wager your channel points with confidence. That is a good point. We should have probably extended that.
You know what? That's
before draft will finish.
Super easy, though.
Why good? Do you want to pick Johanna and not Varian?
Ace, you're the moderator, so you probably got that whole prediction window open more easily than I do. Currently, you could just end the prediction and then restart it again in a minute or so.
We're gonna go ahead and do
We're gonna just restart it right now with a 5-minute timer.
I'm gonna do a 1, 2, or 5. We'll do 5.
Exactly. Greymane getting banned out is very interesting to me because he hasn't been played this series.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I wonder if they're going to go with a chunky tank or something. I mean, Diablo's ban. This draft kind of got weird, in my opinion. I was certain I would have put channel points down that DeWitt was going to pick up a Varian.
That was going to be my guess. That explains the ban there.
Tychus first.
Yeah, Tychus has just been a good
Yeah,
hero, but it was a good hero for U.S. Army Esports. So, but it
yeah,
definitely explains the Greymane ban, and I love to see it. They already picked up the Leoric, so that gets one counter out of there. As far as like the normal Cho'Gath counters, all you really have is Malthael, who you shouldn't even see in the bottom lane making a difference.
Oh, Sylvanas is a really good one, though.
She
If
sure
you have to
is.
ask me, her mind control being at 40 seconds, and with the Shadow Dagger to apply negative 25 armor, is actually insane. So, as a reminder, Chromie's damage stacks, so she gets 15 spell power, and enemy heroes take 25 percent more damage, but it's not an armor cut. That should, and Majesty may be able to correct me on this, stack multiplicatively with more armor shred, meaning that Chromie's damage will go astronomical if that whole thing lands. So, yeah, I like the Sylvanas pickup a lot here from XGD, but US Army Esports doing a tried and true thing of Cho'Gall and Braxis holdout.
Yep. Their wave clear is a little bit light, especially in the bottom lane. So if they end up losing, and frankly, they probably should lose the first objective. They could have a hard time clearing it. Gaul is pretty decent, but not incredible. Definitely not as good as Chromie Sylvanas.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Well, we have spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks for the first time tonight. U.S. Army Esports with Fracture playing the Leoric. Simeon is playing Brightwing. Fat and Sassy has swapped over from the Lucio out onto the Li-Ming. And Unifier is playing Cho'Gall. Are playing Cho'Gall, if you will.
All right, on the right side of the map, in the red trunks, we do have Zul'jin Distillery, winners of Game 2. DeWitt playing the Johanna, Led playing Stukov, Ankleshaw on the Chromie, Bfresh on the Sylvanas, and Cowboy Kyle offlaning again, this time on Malthael.
Majesty confirms spell power on 1 and 25 bonus is multiplicative.
Right, I know those are multiplicative. Is it also multiplicative with armor, though? That's the third multiplier I want to know. Or is the takes more damage and armor additive? That's your question. Hit it back.
We'll hear from that in 45 plus seconds that it takes to answer. DeWitt just chilling in this bush here, looking to try and find an engage, but they shouldn't really be able to find one. Like, again, Cho'Gall's not great, but they also have almost no crowd control here. Like, Condemn and Silence is good, but, like, not for keeping a Cho'Gall in place. That's some good damage, though.
Yep, it will be good damage. Cho'Gall running on the armor currently, and does have that 15% extra healing on level 1, thanks to the Calloused Hide Cho talent.
DeWitt actually taking quite a bit of damage as well. I actually like the Brightwing pickup. Like, yeah, it's percent healing and also that extra 15% healing from the Cho talent. That's just going to be a lot of potential healing.
Yep. Fracture getting a little bit of advantage over Cowboy Kyle in the top lane here. But good on the XGD for going ahead and picking up camps. I think they've been a little neglected this series, and I think that's a nice pickup. Cowboy Kyle actually dodges a spooky hand and almost gets the kill out on Fracture.
It does give him a couple seconds in lane, though, which is pretty big. Yeah, it is a pretty big role swap with the healer swap on the left-hand side, and we also had the swap on the right-hand side as well, right?
It's healer, damage, and tank swap for US Army Esports. They've swapped a lot around. Port actually incidentally hits on Fat and Sassy, so the Cho'Gall will not receive that massive healing spike, and that's going to cause a whole lot of problems for US Army Esports as they're going to get pushed in heavily down here in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and the first port from Brightwing coming in at just about 2 minutes, even though they have the cool interaction, so you can really use that pretty dang fast. A little bit of lost value there. Level 4 is getting picked up earlier for Zul'jin Distillery, but not by a significant margin. Checking out on the top lane. Cowboy Kyle's actually very low, gets hit by the Spooky Walk, won't actually secure that kill, but is going to force him out of lane a little bit.
Yep. Cowboy Kyle, 4 seconds off the tap. Fracture, 54 seconds off the tap. So may see some kind of re-engagement come down here, but Beacon Control has been firmly in control of Zul'jin Distillery this entire time. The Unifier Cho'Gall actually charges in. Brightwing
Got
gets
silenced.
interrupted in port and does result in the death of U.S. Army Esports. What caused that silence? Was it the arm?
I think it was just the lurking arm, or possibly it was a condemn. I missed the actual interrupt, but I saw the lurking arm in the area. I thought that might have been it, but either way, really good and frankly slightly lucky maybe kill going over in favor of Zul'jin Distillery. But that is 2 kills to nothing because Cho'Gall.
Yeah, and even if they're not channeling a objective percentage because Malthael is losing top lane, there is advantage being gained here by Zul'jin Distillery because they've got the Sylvanas. Every kill translates into structure damage more than most other heroes provide.
Yeah, a little bit of damage coming out into lead. You see the reactive ballistic force popping there. Unifier is going to start taking some decent damage, but there's a lot of healing coming out from Chromie. Didn't have the extra 15% healing for the thick hide, but it's still like 25% baseline, bumped up to 30. Bumped up to 33%, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
I'm not a huge fan of the biotic armor pickup. Like, there is not a lot of auto attack damage coming out from the side of US Army Esports anywhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially Unifier in a bunch of trouble again. Unicorns, yay. And who's out on the Gall? It's not Spitfire, it's Surefire.
Yeah.
Surefire.
Man, Unifier is just such a good Cho'Gall name, though. It's one of the best I've ever heard.
That's really good. I mean, because it's accurate. B-Fresh pops the black arrows in the bottom lane. And with this keep turned off and all the minions there, or fort turned off and taken down, but taken down in the top lane is Malthael, is Fracture really holding it down for US Army Esports, or else this game would be unraveling quickly.
Indeed. Chromie gonna get that Dragon's Eye, put some damage into the Unifier, but really not gonna find too much off of it. We did have Sylvanas rotate to the top lane to try and put some pressure into Leoric, but B-Fresh is actually the one taking the pressure, as Fracture just kind of stands his ground, sucks some of that soul off of Sylvanas, which is pretty canon, by the way. Not Leoric doing it, but Sylvanas having formerly been the Banshee Queen. But is going to get enough time and a little bit of soak for Malthael to come back up in there. Sylvanas actually going to take that camp as well, help put some pressure out onto that Leoric. But man, he is just winning in the top lane.
Yeah, part of it's a big part of it rather is the Willing Vessel and the Ossian Renewal generating more self-sustain than Malthael can put out. So it's really creating a lot of problems for Zul'jin Distillery in the top lane here, but another problem for US Army Esports is the slowing sands that are out here again. Level 8 picked up for Chromie.
Yeah, that's going to cause a lot of problems because there's still a full level before US Army Esports has any really good way to contend it. Though the Surging Fist, the Shove, and the Brightwing trait are serving as pretty good answers for the time being. It is full orb build, so as this game goes on, Fat and Sassy is just going to have increasing siege damage. There's a lot of orbs actually being pumped in right now, but Unifier is in a pretty terrible spot, surrounded on all sides, and is likely going to be taken out.
Yep, does get taken out by the Stukov auto attack, I believe, which does 3 billion damage. Cowboy Kyle, once again, having to retreat for his life. B-Fresh going to go ahead and port forward, get the kill onto Li Ming. And that is 3 kills for Zul'jin Distillery here in the bottom lane.
And the level 10's getting picked up too, which means they are going to start rotating some people into the top lane. And Cowboy Kyle has been winning 1v1, or has been losing 1v1, even losing kind of the 2v1. But between D-Whip, B-Fresh, and Cowboy Kyle, that is going to finally be a kill out on the Fracture, getting some of that trait value, and should be probably the first objective going over in favor of Zul'jin Distillery.
Yep, that is true. We've got the Disintegrate picked up for the Li Ming. I'm looking at all the talents that have question marks. We'll go ahead. Blessed Shield, Massive Shove, Slowing Sand. Last Right's an unpicked, actually, for the Sylvanas, although I kind of would expect Mind Control. There's the Upheaval onto Lead, followed by the Twisting Nether. Takes a bunch of... What a push! What a push! Massive Shove from Lead. completely interrupts that combo, and that is huge going into the subjective phase.
So, lesser talked about aspect of massive shove, while you're shoving, you get 50 armor. And you saw some big orbs go into him while that was happening. He took a big orb to the face, a full disintegrate, and some arcane missiles, and he's still standing off of that 50 armor.
That is genuinely...
We did have the micro come out onto Unifier. Actually could not walk through the slowing sands, though. A little bit of counter synergy coming out, but it is still a lot of damage coming in there with the Zerg Wave pushing to the bottom lane. Fracture takes a ton of damage, but Brightwing not going to get the save in time. The upheaval came in, but that just puts everyone next to Cho'Gall. They do find the kill out onto Sylvanas, and that might stymie this push enough for US Army Esports to save their keep, but those two Guardians who think that they're Broodlords are doing what they can still. 50 armor is so good.
Yeah, and these shoves have been for such a long duration that he's getting that armor for such a long time, but led in a bunch of trouble. We don't have Entomb, though.
Entomb would have gotten a kill there.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we do have March of the Black King this game from Fractures. That can get a lot of value when people group up and, use your Leo as health bait and then just march right through them.
I wonder if that's just to win the 1v1s better, now that Malthael does pick up the last raids.
Possibly?
I still don't like it over Entomb necessarily, but I wonder if that's just the reasoning.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that there. It could be part of the reason. Hellbat camp's picked up for both sides, and now that the Bruiser camp has been picked up for Zul'jin Distillery, and they've got level 13, they're going to go ahead and engage. Cho'Gall under mind control effects, then gets hit with the last rites. Brightwing's port comes in just in time. Well done from Simeon, and ends up making the save, but Fracture dies while marching. And that will be the camp to invade here for Zul'jin Distillery. They're opting not to push with it, though, with Merc Queen, which I think is interesting, but they've got their eyes on a boss, which I think is fine.
Yeah, you can't get Merc Queen value off of the boss, but boss is its own value.
Oh, no, we do have Dialam, never mind. I was like, oh, that's why, because Malthael is going full Q build, which is kind of a rare build for Malthaels. You see a lot more of a Massacre, and then the Unstoppable, especially on 13.
Brightwing is going to go get out of there with the nice little blink heal and nice attempted engage, and I like that they're going to use their black arrows to actually shut down this keep and try to get that instead. They might get top fort, but that is a much weaker prize than the keep that they are certain to get pushing down here with Syld.
Yep, even if they only get a little bit for a short time, another good massive shove there is going to force Cho'Gall out and take out the engage condition. That would punish them from standing around for too long. And that's going to be... the Fresh is going to go ahead and get upheavaled into the enemy team, but does escape with the Haunting Wave, and now DeWitt's turning that into a counter engage.
Yep, but not quite finding exactly what they're looking for, so they're just going to back off, happy with the keep that they got, get channel on bot lane, and probably rotate on up as at least 4, if not more, into top lane.
Yep, that is true. Fracture going to go ahead and miss Spooky Ann onto rotating Be Fresh. And now is going to get massive shoved away. And Zul'jin Distillery is a little split up. So he's going to fire exactly one arrow at that keep and make it fall down. What a skill.
Yep. But this is an opportunity for US Army Esports to take a fight before their opponents are all here. They go for the upheaval, but they don't find it onto anybody. The Twisting Desert gets popped as well. It's going to put a lot of damage into Be Fresh when it eventually goes off. And that is going to get the kill shot. Fracture actually healing a huge amount from that March of the Black King, keeping themselves nice and healthy, and that is going to get them top channel and possibly position over bottom as well, although it is only one kill. I don't know that they can hold top and take bottom at the same time.
Yeah, I could agree with that. If they split, they're going for an even fight. Oh, Li Ming going to take a ton of damage with minus 20 armor from the time trap pop, and that's going to force a retreat and give control over to Zul'jin Distillery of this top button.
Fat and Sassy opting not to assert dominance by going Glass Cannon, instead going for the safer, I believe it's Illusionist.
Yes.
Pretty big upheaval coming out onto Chromie, but she has multiple Stay-Side to keep herself nice and topped up. Unifier are chasing them down, but they're not going to find it. Cowboy Cal gets brought down pretty low, but a lot of healing coming out from Lead right now. keeping everyone alive. They were able to rotate someone down to take over the bottom point, and now they're fighting 5v5 on top, which is going to result in a kill of that Leoric. But it means that there's still channel going over in favor of US Army Esports.
Yep, channel's being pushed up past 40% now, but with the kill, Zul'jin Distillery do take the top button and have control of that unifier.
Just watching Katas right now.
Yeah, no problem. Doing, what,
Plink.
6%?
Plink. 7
of core damage.
Get wrecked.
Oh, I'm math. How dare I? Math on stream, am I right?
I don't know. I can't do math on stream, so even if you were wrong, I wouldn't be able to call you out on it. Fracture is going to stop the channel for Zul'jin Distillery for just a moment. He'll be able to spooky walk on out of there. Actually, not without that mind control, and they're going to get blown out. That's kind of the problem with going into the, what was it, Life Leech? Spectral Leech, and presumably Mithril Mace on 16, is that you don't have that extended spooky walk range, which would have certainly gotten him out of there.
Yeah, you don't have to hold it for that last second because people can just run up after your ghost walk. So
this is going to be a really tough defense for US Army Esports. Down 16, down a large portion of Zerg Wave, and Sylvanas is going to be able to pop black arrows on that keep.
Yep. If US Army Esports can decisively defend here and get some kills here, as they're trying to do this upheaval combo, Cowboy Kyle in a lot of damage, but they're unable to secure any of these kills. Unifier gets taken out, Fracture gets taken out, and I think that is all but game here. I was just about to say, they took it decisively. The Cho'Gall comp might make it to scaling, and I don't think we're going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you said that Li Ming is one of those heroes. Let's see if Fat and Sassy is able to make it happen. I believe that was not an orb reset, as the Ultralist took it instead, so it's going to be very impossible to make this core defense, and that will be the 2-1 victory going over in favor of Zul'jin Distillery. GG's and well played.
Good showing from both teams, especially from our new team, US Army Esports. That game 1 was decisive.
Absolutely.
And
I was worried it was going to be a blowout series, frankly, after that game 1.
Absolutely agree. I mean, with them being a new team, I was like how's it, and then, Zul'jin Distillery went ahead and brought it back, and ended up, and I know you'll hate it, reverse sweeping that series.
They sure did.
I say that only because I think of it, because I know it's slightly bothering.
It does, in fact. I need to pick up the, I forget if it's a Franker face or better TV emote of the reverse sweep.
Broom. Yeah, the Uno card broom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a sub emote. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's end this prediction, actually. 1,000 points on US Army Esports, 1,100 points on XGD. Let's dole out those winnings.
So, just under doubling any prediction points that you put up for that. Make sure you spend those on your absolutely nothings. If you get enough of them, you can redeem 125 absolutely nothings at the low cost of 100 absolutely nothings. So make sure to get those in. We will reach out to DeWitt to see if we can get a winner's interview here, unless you have anything more interesting to say about the stats.
No, maybe okay. The one interesting stat I'll point out, and it deals with deaths and everything else, and we know it's a confounding thing. Led had more healing in that sub 15-minute game than he did in the 24.5-minute game on Infernal Shrines earlier on the same hero.
Yeah.
So
big facts.
Big difference there. Now again, if your team's alive, you can heal more. Understandable, but I think that's a big amount of healing difference.
It really was,
and
especially given same hero, I think same talents as well.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. We've been invaded by DeWitt, as DeWitt has that kind of privilege.
And streamer mode means I couldn't even hear it happening.
Let's move to one of the other ones, because Ankle Shot is going to come in. I didn't know I had privilege.
You do have privilege. So let's hop into lobby number 2. It is always lobby number 2 with us, if you're ever around for another one. By the way, welcome, Ankle Shot, and congratulations on your 2-1 reverse sweep.
Thank you.
Woo! Woo! All right.
So, happy day 1 of the regular season, guys.
Yeah.
It feels good to be back.
Started up. Yep.
good getting it scheduled, by the way. I mean, there's a fast turnaround between the Friday of scheduling and
The Monday
getting
of the
a Monday
season
game
starting.
out. So, well done on both you and the U.S. Army Esports to get that taken care of quickly and not have to worry about it for the rest of the week.
Yep, worked out.
So how's
Thanks
the
for
team?
casting.
How's the team feeling this season?
Pretty good. We've been around forever, so we don't feel intimidated or anything, but I guess, to be honest, we've been on a bit of a losing streak, but also we've only been playing like B to heroic level teams.
Understandable.
So I can't tell if that's our fault or their faults.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah.
So,
But
in that game number 1, you went for an Uther main tank style with the Cassia Kael'thas and Sonya follow-up. And I feel like Uther main tank has a little bit fallen out of favor ever since healer Uther has kind of taken over the meta. So what led to that decision by y'all, do you think?
yeah, we still like it. Actually, I feel like we kind of discovered it more recently. Like, we knew about it, we just never really tried it out, and we have been recently, and it's felt good, but we still haven't quite figured out what we needed to do that game, because
some
it
of our
felt pretty
regions were
bad.
great.
The other 2 games felt pretty good.
So, yeah, speaking of the other 2 games felt good, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, but you kind of got wrecked in that game number 1. It was very convincing in favor of U.S. Army Esports. How do you rally and come back after a game like that?
Well, we had a little bit of time to try to figure out what didn't go too well for us. So we were getting caught out on a lot of rotations. So we knew we just had to play a little bit more safely and try to figure out better ways of disrupting their rotations. So, and of course, we went to one of our favorite maps in Tomb. So that definitely helps us get the confidence back.
Yeah, and Ace and I were saying during the cast that it really feels like variant blow-up comps are a Zul'jin Distillery specialty. Is that kind of how it feels for you guys?
It feels like we could definitely use it at any time. I don't feel like we play it as much as a lot of other stuff, actually. But, we don't mind busting it out every once in a while.
All right.
And yeah, I feel like we're kind of known for
Every
that
once in a
style.
while. Have played it in every series that I've watched you play in.
That's weird. I mean, that's weird. We really
Strange. The only reason you didn't recently is because we banned it both games because we're like, wow.
Yeah, well, it was, even when you banned it, we were like, well, we weren't really planning on that, but I guess we could have done it.
You beat us with it, so well done. It's a strong comp for you guys.
Yeah, it feels good when you're down to play something that's you can just pull together like that.
For sure. Then game number 3, you had a very normal comp against a Cho'Gall comp on Brax's holdout, and it sort of felt like they got everything that they wanted to at that comp. They banned out almost all of the percent damage, only leaving the Malthael up in the top lane, getting their big percent damage or percent healing with the Brightwing. They got their consistent chonky damage with Li Ming, and frankly, it felt like mostly you guys got what you probably wanted as well, and it was just a clash of 2 very different styles. But it went very well in your favor. How would you attribute that?
I think we knew what we had to do to win it, and we were able to kind of enforce it because obviously their early game kind of blows with Cho'Gall. So with Sylvanas, we can push down walls and stuff and just start a snowball. And we ended up being able to pressure Cho'Gall twice which resulted in a whole fort. So just getting ahead early was kind of all we wanted to do. And then honestly, Sylvanas is good after 10-2 with the mind control and percent damage at 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
So the plan was to just get ahead early, and then they wouldn't be able to catch back up with the Cho'Gall.
Fair enough. Ace, you got any questions for Ankle Shot or DeWitt?
I do not, actually. I think you've covered it well. We're pretty familiar with them, so...
Yeah.
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 I guess I have one more question. What of your remaining matches, which are you most sort of looking forward to this season?
Ryan, what are you looking forward to?
I have to say I haven't actually checked the schedule yet. Like you said, it was a pretty fast turnaround from season start to getting these things scheduled. So I haven't actually looked forward in the schedule. It was definitely nice to get the first win under the belt, even if it was not so pretty in game 1 for us. But I guess if you ask us that question in a couple more weeks, we'll know who's shaking out at the top of our division.
I'm looking forward to Protectors of Ire, because they're fun friends. Bunker fun time too. We played them. We actually scrimmed them like several times recently. So yeah, there are a lot of fun teams in our division. Kelthos Can't Spell also has several like casters and really involved NGS community members. So I think Frank's Furters is about as old as our team too, which is
they are. They're very old.
They don't have our as long standing a roster though, so there's
That's
no
true.
way they win.
All right. Well, first off, sort of unrelated, thank you, DeWitt, for putting on the Zoltan Distillery Invitational every off-season. I definitely, as being one of those involved community members, I definitely feel the off-season a little bit of lack of stuff to do. So having that off-season event, even if it's only just show up and play once a week, it's nice to have something in there.
Yeah. It's always fun. That's why we do it. And I guess shout out because there's semifinals this week, or actually one of them's next week, which
It's the Sunday. Yeah, it's our match.
Okay, Sunday. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, check us out Sunday.
Yeah. Best of 5. It's exciting.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
There's another match to be scheduled, but I'll be posting that in the community, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
All right,
Okey
so
doke.
you started with the shout-outs. Do you have any other shout-outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to Nutcracker, our 6th player, to Shredded Wind and Ripper, who have helped us out with strategy stuff, and to Dana as well. You got anything?
No, I think you covered it all pretty well.
All right.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming by, and congratulations again on your 2-1 victory.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for casting.
Absolutely. Got to hit
No
that 30
problem.
mark. I want that coffee cup.
All right. Bye-bye.
I don't even drink coffee. Can't believe it.
All right, back in the casting bunker for just a hot second before we get on out of here. Thankfully, we have NGS going, so I actually have channels to raid.
Amazing.
So
Where are
we
we
don't
headed?
have a match this week, it looks like, but definitely
Correct. I don't think we're getting one.
check out the Nexus Gaming Series /calendar so you can find out when all of the matches are going to go live. And we are going to send you over to one of those right now. We're going over to Fujin Akari, one of our new div mods, actually. Also
It's roll 1.
doing that casting thing. And yeah, it's Roll 1 versus I forget who else.
Almost Legends Obsidian.
Yeah, I like that. Almost Legends is another one of those orgs that has just kind of gotten bigger over time.
They had a little bit of issues
They
to
did.
say.
They were
And
on
so
the up
they're
and up,
trying
and
to
then they
restructure.
shattered another. They're making a comeback. Like Regen has always been there and is always consistent. Then Almost Legends was on the rise, and then they kind of fell apart. And then last season, especially, the Can't
Phoenix
Counterpick
Rising.
Stupid and Phoenix Rising organizations both kind of blossomed, and now Almost Legends is making a comeback.
Seems pretty good. Lots of teams organizing up, so hopefully it's a good thing for resources and, making everybody better at the video game.
Yeah, and you know what? We've got the biggest season of NGS since the biggest season of NGS, which was just before Admin Apocalypse.
And HTC's death probably.
And the death of HTC probably had a thing or three to do with that, but
Yeah.
thank you all for coming by. We've got the raid getting ready to go. 15 viewers getting ready to go raid Fujin Akari over for Roll 1 Esports. Yeah, Roll 1 Esports versus Almost Legends Obsidian. Thank you for coming by. I'm Iktar. He's Ace.
Yeah.
And have a good night.
See ya.